Ember copper paint. Chevrolet spelled out in blackout letters up front. Underneath that copper paint sits a screen orientation Chevy has never used on a factory midsize truck, a portrait format display that does something very specific once you leave pavement, and I'm not explaining what yet. Stay with me because it's tied to a rivalry you won't expect, and it's not with Toyota. As for whether EMBER X is worth the price jump over a standard ZR2, my answer depends entirely on whether you actually take this truck off pavement or just like the color. We're covering the exterior, stepping into that cabin, then getting into real numbers. But first, the backstory, because this trim didn't start as a response to Toyota at all. Most people are staring at the copper paint and Chevrolet lettering. That's not the point. What matters is that portrait display mounted vertically instead of the usual landscape layout. Every rival in this class runs a widescreen that squeezes trail maps and camera angles into a cramped strip. Chevy flipped orientation so a camera and incline data display full height in one glance. Vertical trail vision. The portrait display switches to a full-height camera feed with incline and axle articulation readouts the moment off-road mode engages. The logic is simple. Trail obstacles are vertical problems, and a widescreen was never built to show them clearly. It closes the gap between seeing a rock and judging its height. Step inside where that same logic shows up again. That hexagon-quilted black leather with copper contrast stitching isn't standard Colorado fare. The pattern reads closer to a Range Rover sports design language than a mid-size Chevy. The ergonomic call worth naming, Chevy kept physical toggle switches below that screen for terrain modes, instead of making you tap through menus. On the trail, that's correct. You drop into rock crawl by feel without hunting through a touch interface. Tacoma's TRD Pro still leans on screen tap for those same functions. Adaptive console cooling. A small vent beneath the console feeds cabin-conditioned air to the wireless charging pad, so summer trail runs don't cook your phone. The reasoning is simple. A portrait screen already reduced console depth, so remaining space needed to work harder. It closes a small but real complaint owners raise about vertical screen layouts elsewhere. Now, here's what I actually think. That vertical screen's added depth eats into console storage. You get a shallower tray up front than Tacoma's TRD Pro offers. The exterior is where this competitive intent becomes obvious. The brief wasn't to outsize Tacoma's TRD Pro. Chevy already knew it couldn't win that fight on paper. It was to answer GMC's own Canyon AT4X, which had quietly stolen Colorado's off-road spotlight inside GM's own dealer network. That's not a press release detail. That's the actual internal math behind EMBER X. Every panel on this truck traces back to that specific sibling rivalry. Start at the grille. Blacked out mesh with Chevrolet spelled out in raised block lettering, a factory callback rather than a stamped badge. A functional hood vent pulls hot air off the engine bay on sustained climbs. Black fender flares widen the body to clear the all-terrain tires without leaving gaps at speed. The black multi-spoke wheels aren't just color-matched, the offset is what lets this stance clear the tire size without rubbing at full articulation. Up front, integrated tow hooks and a skid plate signal real trail use, not just a parking lot look. Move to the rear, and the tailgate carries Chevrolet script above a functional roll bar and tonneau setup. This design holds up because every piece traces to function, not trend. Under the hood, the story gets serious. Engine: 2.7-liter Turbo Max Inline 4, 325 horsepower, 445 pound-feet of torque. 8-speed, automatic, 4-wheel drive. In real trail conditions, that's enough low-end torque to outpull Ranger Raptor away from a dead stop, even while giving up peak horsepower on paper. Predictive crawl control. Forward sensors read upcoming grade changes and pre-adjust crawl speed before the wheels reach the transition, closing the jerky throttle modulation gap Tacoma's crawl control still exhibits on uneven rock. The logic eliminates the driver's need to feather the pedal mid-obstacle. It removes hesitation exactly where hesitation costs traction. Ranger Raptor still wins on outright horsepower, no argument there. Tacoma's hybrid counters with more torque, but adds real weight and complexity to get it. The engineering case is closed. The financial one is next. Now here's what I actually think, completely straightforward. Every single decision on EMBER X traces back to that internal GMC rivalry. The vertical screen exists because Chevy needed a genuine functional edge, not just another styling exercise. And the torque over horsepower tune exists because low-end pull matters more on Colorado's actual trails than a spec sheet number ever will. Expect this configuration to land between $58,000 and $62,000. Ford's Ranger Raptor starts at $57,000 and beats it on outright horsepower, but gives up low-end torque and that vertical screen's trail camera advantage. Tacoma's TRD Pro starts noticeably higher, near $65,000, with more torque thanks to its hybrid system, but adds real weight EMBER X's simpler drivetrain avoids entirely. For context, the real 2026 Colorado ZR2 this trim builds on starts closer to $50,000, so the tune, screen, and console hardware account for the rest of that gap. On residual value, factory-differentiated trims with genuine mechanical distinction have historically held value better than purely cosmetic packages, since the hardware carries a manufacturer warranty a shop-built truck never will. If you actually wheel your truck regularly and want low-end torque over bragging rights horsepower, this is the smarter buy. If outright power numbers matter more than trail manners, Ranger Raptor gives you more of exactly that for less money. Either way, EMBER X genuinely earns its premium through torque delivery and trail vision, not paint. That Chevrolet lettering and amber paint from the opening shot, now you know the real story was happening on the screen beside it. I'd love your perspective if you've wheeled a Ranger Raptor or Canyon AT4X back-to-back. Does Chevy's torque-first tune feel different on real rock, or is it just a number? Next up, Canyon AT4X versus this EMBER X. $60K for this Colorado EMBER X, or $57K for the Ranger Raptor. Drop your call below.